You and I are going wine shopping together. You can find a sensational bottle of wine for criminally low prices. Let's get started exploring and tasting new wines together. Today, we're traveling somewhere that we've yet to visit in this series, and it's an ancient wine region. Today, we're going to taste a wine from Greece. Greece has a very long recorded history of winemaking going back, 6,500 years. It's been found to be home to the second oldest wine grape remnants in the world, as well as the earliest remnants of crushed grapes. In ancient times, these wines were highly prized and traded all over the Mediterranean. The ancient Greeks introduced the Vitis vinifera vine to the world. This is the species of grapevine that the vast majority of the grapes we grow today to make our wines belong to. As Greek civilization spread, as well as the spread of the Roman Empire with whom Greek wines were highly treasured, so too winemaking culture and knowledge spread. Though they had this prestige in ancient times, modern Greek wines are only just now becoming a little more familiar with a wider wine audience, and there is some serious value to be found. This particular bottle is coming from the Peloponnese, which is a peninsula in southern Greece. This is a red blend from Domaine Giulis, and it's called Sofos, which means the wise one. And I nabbed it at Whole Foods for $13.75. This red blend is made up of 20% Cabernet Sauvignon, which we're all pretty familiar with, but the other 80% is made from a grape called Aeorgitiko. And this is a native Greek grape that is grown predominantly in the Peloponnese, especially in a northeastern region called Nemea. And since 2012, Aeorgitiko is the most planted red grape in all of Greece. And it has a fantastic lore surrounding it. According to legend, there was a ferocious lion that was terrorizing the region of Nemea. Along comes Hercules, the demigod Hercules, and he decides to take up the challenge of slaying this lion. After discovering that weapons won't wound the beast, Herc decides to strangle it with his bare hands, and afterwards promptly downs a large glass of the local red wine made from, you guessed it, Aeorgitiko. The wine has subsequently been nicknamed the blood of Hercules. Aeorgitiko has the potential to make a very diverse style of wines. It can make very light-bodied wines, age-worthy structured wines, very big, lush, fruit-forward wines, even oak-aged rosés. But across the board, they do tend to be a little more fruit-forward and have the potential to lack acid and body, hence this winemaker's decision to add in Cabernet Sauvignon, which is naturally higher in acid and tannin. It's all very dependent on both the skills and the desires of the winemaker. Let's start tasting this blood of Hercules. Looking at the color right off the bat, it is pretty deeply pigmented. It's not completely opaque, though it's medium in intensity, so I can't see through it completely, but again, not completely opaque. But it is a really nice rich garnet color going out to these kind of magenta fuchsia colors in the rim. Very aromatic, very juicy on the nose. Getting a lot of flowers, a lot of roses, and then a lot of ripe, overripe, baked, stewed dark fruits, blackberries, raspberries, overripe strawberries, dark, juicy plums. There is almost a little whiff on here of a note of a process called carbonic maceration. It's a type of fermentation where instead of just crushing all the grapes and letting the juice ferment on the skins, you put all of the grapes into a large tank and you let the weight of the grapes on the top crush the grapes on the bottom. So the grapes on the bottom are releasing all that carbon dioxide, releasing it up into those unbroken grapes on the top. And so those grapes start fermenting inside of the skins. And the aromas that it evokes in the wines that it creates are these candied bubblegum Jolly Rancher flavors and aromas, and I'm getting like a subtle little hint of that. I don't think that this wine went through any carbonic maceration, but it does have those juicy candied fruit notes. And then there's a little bit of pepper spice, black pepper, and certainly some sweet spices, nutmeg, cinnamon, little vanilla as well. And those are all notes that are most likely coming from the new and used oak aging for this wine. Getting a little bit of rhubarb on there as well, like strawberry rhubarb pie. And then there is some herbaceousness, oregano, a little bit of black tea as well. I want to say it's like slightly oxidative. And by that I mean there's, because I'm mentioning all of these fruit notes as being a little stewed or overripe, like little hints of mushrooms on there. I don't think the wine is oxidated itself, it just has slightly little oxidative notes. Not always a bad thing. It's a very rich smelling wine, a very decadent, lush smelling wine. On the palate, a little less so. which is surprising me. I was expecting this to be a very rich, heavy wine on the palate. It still is, but thankfully due to the skills of the winemaker and also the addition of the Cabernet Sauvignon, this has enough backbone to hold up all that fleshy fruit. So there is medium to medium plus acidity. That's what makes my mouth water after I take a sip. Medium plus, I'll say that. Medium tannin, which is great. That's doing the opposite, drying my mouth out, almost like sandpaper on my gums. Medium body, it's not too heavy on the body, which again surprised me after taking that first sniff because it smelled so rich to me. And then medium alcohol, what we got? 13%. I expected it to be a little higher, I'm not gonna lie to you. 13%, very restrained. This wine's growing on me, I'm not gonna lie to you. I may have thought it was gonna be a little bit flabbier and beefier on the nose, but it's integrating nicely in the palate. All the fruit with the structure coming together pretty nicely, not gonna lie to you. It's in lovely balance. Still is a slightly larger red wine, but again, has the skeleton to hold all that flesh really nicely. Gonna be great with richer, more strongly flavored meats, grilled meats, richer stews, duck, lamb dishes. Be cool with some slightly spicy pasta dishes as well that are a bit richer. I could see this being fun with some aged cheeses or blue cheeses that are very strong in flavor. This can definitely stand up to it and not be completely overpowered by a blue cheese. I have a feeling that this winemaker, again with the addition of the Cabernet Sauvignon and the way this wine is structured, wants to make it more appealing and more friendly to a wider audience, especially with wines like these Napa Cabs being so popular. This is really lovely, adjacent style to it. Still something new, still something really exciting and different about it, but there is something familiar and friendly. So this is a great way to get into Greek red wines. If you like a more robust wine, if you like a richer Cabernet Sauvignon, if you like a good Merlot, because there's a lot of good Merlot out there, we'll get to that on another episode. But if you like a nice Merlot with those juicy plum notes, a little bit of green notes in here as well, then I think this is a really great start and a really great leap into Greek red wines. And it's a great price, right? I also want to note that this wine is certified organic, it is vegan, so if that is something that is a priority for you with your wines, you're in luck because it's both. So grab yourself a bottle of Greek red, grab this bottle, grab anything because it's so much fun to start exploring these grapes you've never heard about. Of course, it can be a little intimidating when you're like, what is ayorgitiko? Learn what ayorgitiko is by drinking it and by exploring. If you've already tasted Greek wines before, what's your favorite? What's your favorite style? Do you like the whites? Do you like the reds? Do you like them all? Let us know. And until next week, when we open another bottle and taste something new, keep exploring and tasting new wines. Yamas.